And we had those preliminary finals over the weekend. I assume, boys, we all got a chance to watch them. There was some pretty good footy.
Yeah, that Collingwood-Brisbane game was an absolute cracker right up until Brisbane blew them out of the water. That sort of seems to be the way that a lot of grand finals go, you know. Once they sort of break through, they just really take control of the game. Your man, Ty Gallop deal, what a breakout game he had, taking massive pack marks in front of 96,000 at the MCG.
He was the highest rated player on the ground.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
In a preliminary final. That's incredible.
They call him the horseman.
They do call him the horseman.
Do
the
they
galloping.
actually?
No, I don't know.
I was going to say,
probably.
Shot in the dark there.
Nay, they don't call him that.
No, he was absolutely awesome. And I actually I read a stat during in the last couple of days on the fact that Brisbane took him. He was a Brisbane Academy member. The bid for him, he was the 42nd player taken in that 2024 draft. Guess who the bid came from?
Collingwood?
No.
North Melbourne.
No, Geelong. It just speaks to how good these teams are at recruiting.
Yeah.
That they saw how good a player he was when he'd sort of slipped through so heavily to pick 42. So I thought that was interesting. These two teams going at it in a grand final this weekend. I think, who do you reckon had the more impressive performance in that prelim?
Out of
the two winners.
Brisbane for me.
Why?
I thought they managed Collingwood a little bit better. Maybe I was swayed by Geelong's slow start to that game. I felt like comparatively Brisbane were probably more in control of their game than Geelong were. But it's tough to call. I mean, both teams won by about 5 goals in the end, if I'm not mistaken.
It was 29 and 30.
Yeah, there you go. So maybe that was just my perception. Now I'm really reflecting on it. I thought Brisbane probably played the more compelling footy out of the two teams. I thought I've seen Geelong play a lot better than that. And certainly in week one, I thought that wasn't as good. But I thought Brisbane, that was their best performance of the final series so far. And Collingwood really threw everything at them. And I kind of expected Collingwood to do what they do in last quarters quite well, up until this year anyway. But Brisbane were too good.
Yeah. Both prelims had that moment. I think like Hawthorn from the first bounce, like their first quarter was really, really strong before Geelong were able to wrest and control back. And Collingwood probably had that period in the second quarter, I think it was, where they started to get their game going.
That's right.
Looked like they could sort of pull away. But then both times, like both Geelong and Brisbane were able to sort of get their game back going again. I think in the end, as you said, like 5-goal winners, both of them, pretty happy that they were the two best teams across the weekend. Grand final preview is upon us. Brisbane Lions versus the Geelong Cats. Reigning premiers up against a team that's just been unbelievably successful for almost, it feels like my entire life at this point that Geelong have been successful for. Geelong probably been the best side across the entire season, but there's something about Brisbane, right? They just seem to be able to win in these big games. Boys, what are we saying?
I got some stats for you to support what you just said. Since 2007, Geelong are in their 7th grand final, and Brisbane are in their 7th since 2004, which is not much longer. Two of the most impressive teams. In fact, what do we see the stats last week when it was of the 4 teams that was left? The last 50 prelims has involved one of them 44 times. Does that make sense? That's 44 crazy. Out of the last 50 prelims involve those teams. So
wow,
that just really sets the scene for how good these two teams are. It is the first grand final that they're playing against each other. If I'm not mistaken, they've played in 3 prelims last year, 2020 and 2004, which was at the MCG, but Brisbane hosted it. We referred to that previously. Also, since 2020, these are the top 2 wins, top 2 clubs for wins in that time frame. The Lions have won 102 games, Geelong have won 97, and no one has won more than 86. So the 2 most successful teams over the last 5 years in terms of wins and losses and a premiership each will now meet in the grand final. And that is all the fact dropping I have for you. Druzy, you add something.
I'm genuinely torn on the grand final. Geelong and Brisbane is the grand final I predicted at the start of the year, just because, I don't know, Geelong are just so well drilled, probably better drilled than any other club. And Bailey Smith's on screen right now has added a massive dimension to them this year. They'll be without Tom Stewart, who went out with concussion in a weird injury, as Bailey Smith appears on the TV with speed dealers on. It's a weird one. I was super impressed about the way that Geelong adapted after that early game blitz from Hawthorn. Patrick Dangerfield played pretty much full-time on ball, had 32 touches and 3 goals in the prelim. So he's primed. You'd probably expect Dunkley to go to him on grand final day, or would you?
Yeah, I think so. It just depends. I feel like it's a difficult one if Dangerfield drags him forward, but definitely at centre bounces.
Yeah.
He's the optimal matchup. I think Dangerfield got him last time they played, which I think you saw Dunkley really try to respond in that next game against Gold Coast. But it's an interesting one. Like, I was looking at Dangerfield today, just like the lead up. Is he going to be able to play at the level that he played at in the prelim final? Just on the, if you kind of look at how he's come in, he sort of had like rest, play pretty significantly. So round 22, he was rested for that game. Then he played round 23, 24. Then he had the pre-finals bye. Then the qualifying final he played. Then he had a week off. So he sort of hasn't necessarily had to play like back-to-back games and play at a really high level. So I feel like that prelim suited him a little bit more than the 2 weeks in a row that he's going to play, including the grand final, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think he's still, I mean, it's Dangerfield, right?
Yeah.
He keeps proving everybody wrong. But I do feel like he came out of the block so strongly in that last game, given the fact that he was so fresh.
Yeah, I'm probably leaning towards Geelong to get the win personally.
Just like the form.
Yeah, I just think their system in that forward line, the way that they move the ball. Oh, Brisbane are also a very good ball movement side.
I mean, they played 3 weeks ago and Geelong cut them up, didn't they?
I was actually out for that game, so I didn't even get to see that game.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Mark Blixarves, who goes to him? What role is he going to play? I think he's a very important player.
Well, I think he's going to have to play ruck.
Well,
Yeah.
Stewart's out as well, so they could bring in Reece Stanley and keep Blitzarve back.
They can.
They're
Do
gonna
you
have
think
to
that
do
would be
something
too
there.
big of a change?
Possibly, but they're going to have to do something with Stewart anyway. I mean, I suppose you could bring Jed Hughes in, yeah.
He'd be the obvious one. And then
Yeah.
you'd roll Guthrie into Stewart's role.
Mm-hmm.
And
Good
Hughes would...
player. Cam Guthrie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not Cam Guthrie. No, he's Cam
Zach.
Guthrie. Zach, sorry. I meant Zach, but I said Cam.
Is
Brother
Cam
of-
Guthrie still in the AFL?
I think so. I think he's still on the list,
Yeah.
but playing VFL, I believe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But he's not going to play. It would be Buse. I would have thought Buse, just because I would have thought at this point Reece Stanley, it would be too much of a structural change off the prelim.
Will that young Brisbane forward line be able to get it done again? Will Ty Gallop and Logan Morris be the two key forwards to take Brisbane to a premiership?
At least Gallup now has given Geelong's backline something to think about because he's had a real breakout game there after like some modest form prior to that. So that probably bodes well. It is, it's a big ask to get these guys to back it up again in a final, but there's clearly talent there.
The other talking point there is Lachie Neale and what he does. If he is able to come back in and play to a reasonable enough level, it does give them the flexibility to probably drop somebody like a Sam Marshall, who's probably a depth player in the team at the moment. I think it was a really ballsy move by Chris Fagan to drop Sam Day.
Yeah.
When he had that, he could have dropped Gallup then, but he backed Gallup in, comes out and has the highest rated game in the prelim final, which is incredible. They went for the more highly talented player and he rewarded them.
Yeah.
Surely they don't chance it with Neil. We've got a comment there from Muck Chiller.
Yeah, it's unlikely, but if he is right, it is Lachie Neale.
Yeah.
He's the sort of player that, I don't know, you can't see a world where Lachie Neale plays. If he is named and he plays, I can't see him not being right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, we've had players play with broken legs in grand finals, like fractures. Daniel Kerr did it, Daniel Hanbury did it, and I'm sure you can find more. But
Was Wirapunda one?
I think you're thinking of Jeddah.
Who was the
Or
one
maybe
where
Wirra as well.
No, I think Wirapunda played really injured in a grand
was it
final.
like
I
a
remember
hamstring and they told him you can only run at 60%
Yes.
speed or something like that? in
that. I think I
the
saw a
first comp.
podcast he was in.
Yeah.
He was explaining that.
That actually, that could be true. Jeddah did both his calves in 18
Wow.
and then played it out. Yeah.
Both calves.
I think
Yeah.
everybody talks about where these ones go wrong, but there are actually a lot where players aren't fit and
Yeah.
it goes right
That's
as well.
true.
Well, Lachie Neale played through something wrong with his foot last year, I think. He
Yeah,
had
that's right.
Bone fracture or
Yeah, I think he did actually.
like an ankle or something, and he played through it.
Some of the injuries that players play through is absolutely incredible. Like the pain threshold.
The count is about to begin. Who are we saying for the grand final, boys? Who are your tip?
Can I just say one more thing
You
about
can.
Brisbane? And this is before I go into my tip, but
Gross.
they have won their last 8 knockout games. Like when the jeopardy is high and they're not going to make it. It goes all the way back to the last time they lost an important game was the 2023 grand final. They lost to Collingwood by 4 points. 2024, the run in, they went elimination final against Carlton, semi against GWS, prelim against Geelong, grand final against Sydney. The count has started. And then they've won all through, including the round 23 and 24 games at the end of this season to make the top 4. So pretty much every time they're under the pump, they win. For that reason, I'm backing them in.
I like that. Should we do quick fire predictions? I've got some quick ones that could be fun. All right. Does Lachie Neale play?
No.
I will say yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who are you barracking for?
Geelong.
Brisbane.
I'm barracking for Geelong.
I'm going for Geelong because my poppy.
I'm going for Geelong because they're the less recent premier and Brisbane keep getting top 5 picks. And I'm not salty about it, but I'm not going to support them in this grand final.
Bailey Smith with 3 votes off the bat there.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
First goal of the game.
Zach Bailey.
Ollie Dempsey.
Ollie Dempsey.
Nice.
God, tough. Charlie Cameron.
Yeah, nice. Norm Smith medal.
Will Ashcroft.
Will Ashcroft.
Even though I tipped Geelong, I just want to say Will Ashcroft.
Well, when was that happened? 2002? Was that the last time that happened? The losing team had the North... Oh, no, Judd in 05.
If Geelong win it, Bailey Smith. If Brisbane win
you
it...
went Will Ashcroft and you tipped Geelong to win. Yeah, that's not happening. I'm going to go Cam Rayner.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Who will be the premier?
Brisbane.
Mark McGowan. I went Brisbane as well. And
Premier Mark McGowan. Yeah, Geelong.
And the margin.
18 points. Sorry.
Dylan says 18.
27 points for me.
Yeah, I reckon like 35 points.
So just to be clear, you said Geelong 35. I said Brisbane by 27. You said Brisbane by 18. Yeah, cool. Well, none of those will have a match winning moment. If you were going to pick a close one, any of you, I was going to say, what's the match winning moment?
God. I feel like Brisbane have more of those types. It could be like Kyle Lohman, Cam Rayner, Zach Bailey.
Logan Morris.
Yeah.
I reckon it could be like a Jack Martin or a Sean Manor or something. If Geelong win.
What a story it's going to be as well if Jack Martin wins a flag from Gold Coast to Carlton, all the injuries that he has. That's just the most Geelong story ever if he goes there and wins the grand final.
Yeah, I mean, Tyson Stengel had a similar story.
Yeah.
Mind you, he was also an All-Australian. So not just the fact that he went to Geelong, but... Yeah, those are our predictions. So let us know in the comments what your predictions are for this grand final.